The Wels catfish almost certainly lended its name to the whales we see in the ocean. The cetaceans were probably named after this fish. We've only been out on the open ocean for about 800 years. Before that, all anybody had ever known was the Mediterranean and inland lakes and rivers. When the ancient Germans needed a word for the biggest thing in the water, they used the word they already had for the biggest freshwater fish they'd ever seen. A 15th century book references whales pulling up the river, talking about a boat that hooked onto one of these things and got hauled upstream. When those same people eventually got out to sea and encountered actual cetaceans, they applied the same word, the fish named the whale. The Wels is native to Eastern Europe. Think Poland and that whole region. It never stops growing its entire life, and it can live up to 80 years. The biggest one on record measured 9 feet 4 inches, roughly 14 bananas long. These things swallow 3-foot salmon whole, and their pectoral fins are sharp. They use them to swirl the water into a vortex that disorients prey, gets fish turned around so they don't know which way to swim, and then the whales just sucks them in. Their eyes don't work particularly well because they're murky water animals. What they actually hunt with are those long barbels, which are incredibly sensitive to vibration. They sit just off the bank and wait for the pressure of something moving near the waterline. In Western Europe, that something is sometimes a pigeon. The fish in France will park themselves at the edge of a gravel bank, and when they feel the vibrations of birds at the waterline, they lunge out, grab a bird, and then wallow themselves back under, exactly like killer whales do when they beach themselves for seals. Scientists who studied it called them freshwater killer whales. This behavior has never been documented in their native Eastern European range. They developed an entirely new hunting strategy after one sport angler took a few thousand of them and dropped them into a river in Spain. Now they're all over Western Europe, outcompeting native fish and thriving in Italy, France, and Spain, while wreaking havoc on native populations. Back in their native range in Poland and Eastern Europe, they're managed as food fish, harvested for meat, leather, and caviar. In Denmark, they're gone entirely. In Sweden, they're hanging on in a handful of isolated lakes, struggling in the cold, and cut off from Eastern European populations with no waterway connecting them. We have archaeological evidence of people eating this fish in Judea for thousands of years, going back well before the Mosaic laws were written. This particular fish has been around for about 50 million years, and people have been catching it and eating it for tens of thousands of them. One population of fish is doing especially well right now inside the Chernobyl exclusion zone. The 1986 meltdown cleared every human out of the area, and a population of whales that was already living there has thrived ever since. No fishing pressure, no competition, hundreds of individuals of all the places this fish has managed to find a foothold, the most radioactive piece of real estate in Europe turned out to be one of the better ones.